Hey everybody, how are you? Oh my God, this is I swear to drunk I'm not God. I hope you all have been out there living your best lives. You know, the struggle over here is pretty goddamn real, but you know, no pain, no gain. Okay, so you're probably wondering why you're here. You're like, what the fuck? Today's Wednesday. Yes. So I decided that I'm going to do little bitty bonus episodes of I Swear to Drunk I'm Not God, called What the Fuck Did I Just Watch? Because I watch a lot of cool shit and sometimes I don't feel like it's worthy. Not even that it's worthy. That's so fucked up. That does not sound right. I take that back. A couple things can happen. Either I feel like this topic is crazy enough for you to just go ahead and watch a documentary. Or in this particular instance, there really isn't a lot to research because there isn't a lot of backup to support any of this. Like, you know, there isn't any court documents. There isn't any of that. So if you saw on my Instagram, I posted a little bit of a little teaser situation of what we're going to talk about today. And what we're going to talk about today is Akku Yadav from the docuseries In Predator. And this particular series I watched a couple weeks ago. Was it a couple weeks? I don't know. What is time? I don't know. I don't know when this was. I feel like it was a week ago. It may have been two. But In Predator is a docuseries on Netflix. They have 3 seasons, and this season that I'm covering today is the 3rd season. So I had decided that I wanted to do like a quick 30-minute, maybe you should watch this, maybe not type of docuseries thing, because I like watching documentaries. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to research this any further. Like, every situation could take, you could take a dive into. There's always information that documentaries don't cover. But this one was so well done that I kind of feel like just go watch it. You know what I mean? Like, just go watch it. So I'm not being paid by Netflix. I'm not being paid by anyone, but I felt like doing something in between in the weeks in between my normal, 1.5 hour / 2 hour episodes. With that being said, did you all listen to Mitrice Richardson, The Curious Case of Mitrice Richardson, part 1 and part 2? Part 1 is like 1.5 hours. Part 2 is like 2 hours. I was a little intoxicated on that second part because we had been technically talking about it for over 3 hours and I was tired. That one had Dustin and Sal in it. So that was my first time having like 2 people on at once. And, this year I was just trying to figure out ways to kind of like create a little bit more content. I'm not super crazy about posting stuff. I don't post a lot in general. I'm one of those people, like, I share a lot of shit, but I don't usually like make my own content. So this is actually a little new for me. It's a little bit of a challenge. It's something that I can focus on kind of in a creative way, kind of not. I don't know. I have a lot going on in my head at the present moment. But this is always a nice little, oh, that sounds terrible because this is like none of this is nice, but you see what I'm saying. I don't have to keep explaining that to you, but this is kind of a little segue from my brain. And so I like doing it. It's a nice little distraction / hobby, I suppose. But I really appreciate everybody who is listening. If you're new, I'm Britt Perkins. Start with episode 1. Don't start with this one. But if you want to start with this one, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like incorporate something in between weeks that I won't probably drop them every Wednesday, but when I do run into docs, I got like 3 in the chamber. Okay. This is one of 3, but I got 2 other ones. So at least over the next few weeks, I should be doing bonus episodes as well as my normal episodes, just to kind of, give you a little something while you're waiting. So you don't forget about me. I don't want you to forget about me. So today we're going to talk about Akku Yadav from the In Predator, Murder in a Courtroom. Oh, and you're probably asking, like, should I drink? You can, It's wine o'clock somewhere. Grab whatever the fuck you want. Grab what you want. I'm low key getting to that point too, where like, and maybe you can like let me know. I don't know where you'd let me know. I guess you can hit me up on Instagram, but I'm kind of like bored with TikTok. I kind of think I'm just going to post my little videos on Instagram. TikTok is fucking weird. I don't like doing my little edits on there. I don't like doing none of that. And I kind of want a more structured recipe. I meant to tell you, this is what the fuck did I watch? And this is also like an opportunity for me to just express myself apparently. But I kind of want to do like cocktails like I normally do, but I just don't want to do them on TikTok. I'm like 36. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can barely work it. And so the worst part about doing all of this, like 90% of the time, is making the videos. I'm gonna be honest, because it's not easy to like, you gotta set shit up. You gotta make sure you got all the ingredients. It's like an extra layer. And I'm not anti doing them because I actually love showing people new cocktails, new ways to drink. Sure. But I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out, these are growing pains. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. With that being said, I did get a great idea from a listener who happens to be my nail tech, who's dope. And she had a brilliant idea about like kind of grading the series, or grading like I said the series, but grading the stories with like shots, which I don't do shots, period, in my life, because they're just it's too easy to get drunk. That's not why I drink. So to me, shots are like for people who are actively trying to get drunk. But I didn't think it was a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, because as you know, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't really get drunk. It takes a lot to actually get me drunk. And the way that I do actually get drunk is pretty dangerous. And what I mean by that is that means that I eat less. And if I eat less, that means I'm more likely to get sick. So there's levels to it. I think the drunkest that I've been on this this podcast is the second episode of H.H. Holmes, and probably that last My Trees part, because by then I was drinking that sugary shit and I was starting to feel way the fuck down. So if you felt like the My Trees Richardson was like depleting, like I felt like if you felt like I was low energy, that's because I was like, my eyes were getting heavy. It was just like, oh, this fucking sugar I'm crashing. So I'll probably never do that again. And, my cocktails are kind of limited because I'm not really drinking whiskey right now. Usually whiskey is my winter cocktail, but for some reason I have not been in the zone for whiskey at fucking all. So anyway, whatever. You all didn't come for this. I talked to my therapist about this type of shit. But anyway, so what are you here for? So what you're here for is my little quick 30-minute in between long ass episodes of I Swear to Drunk I'm Not God. This is What the Fuck Did I Just Watch? And again, we're going to talk about Indian Predator, Murder in the Courtroom. Now, what am I going to also do here is kind of break down who these people are a little bit deeper. The documentary covered them, but they may not have covered certain things. So as I'm doing like little bits of research, I find like new things about these people. And then basically at the end, I tell you, just watch the shit. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. The cool thing about this is you can kind of just like listen to it, and then you can decide, like, listen to it at home, listen to it while you're doing your laundry, listen to it while you're on your way to work. And then by the time you get home, you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna watch Indian Predator, Murder in the Courtroom. That's kind of my goal. That's what I'm planning on doing here. Netflix doesn't pay me, by the way. So, excuse me. Now, Akku Yadav. Akku Yadav is the predator. He's the Indian predator. He was born Bharat Kalasharan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing anything correct, and this will be this will all be butchered. But he was born, God knows when. They don't know when he was born, but it is believed that he was born in either 1971 or 1972. He was Indian, of course, and grew up in Kasturba Nagar, which is a slum outside of Nagpur, Maharashtra. Huh? Maybe? Nagpur is actually the third largest city in the state. Now, the slum was like the home of a lot of fucking criminals, which obviously most slums are. But it was also the slum of two rival gangs. And Akku was kind of like the leader of one. He was an absolute terror. It is believed he committed his first crime in 1991 when he and his gang raped a woman. And he spent the next 13 years raping, robbing, killing, and extorting. And Akku would literally walk into someone's home and just sit expecting food. They actually touch on this in the documentary because this slum kind of has like these makeshift homes in them. So, you know, they kind of just made out of like scrap metal and, you know, just scrap parts, things that people find. And so there really isn't any true security there. You know, it's kind of just like, you know, motherfucker could really just kick your shit in and like do whatever you want to do. And there's a moment in the documentary where Akku literally walks into this woman's house and is like expecting dinner. It's just like, oh, you know what I mean? He was kind of like a bully. And because he was so evil, he would get away with a lot of shit. And he also had paid off the police. So the police wouldn't arrest him. And when they did, they would just release him. It is said that he was arrested over 14 fucking times. And the legend goes that he had assaulted women in almost every other house in the slum. Now, most of his victims, they were called Dalits, which is the lowest part of the caste system. So this could explain why he would get away with this for so long as well. Because as we know, when you're in a poverty-stricken community or one that's just crime-ridden, the police kind of give up on the community. And unfortunately, excuse me, look, still struggling with the wheezing. The police kind of struggle with maintaining law and order in spaces like that. And I think over time they just give up. And I think in America, it's also because generally, you know, taxpayer dollars, they don't really go to municipalities because there really isn't a lot of money to go to those types of municipalities. And they just say, fuck them. That's just really what it boils down to. It's also believed that he was a part of the upper caste. So he's an upper caste member who's basically terrorizing lower caste people. He felt like he had the most control over these people. And these people were super afraid. They were afraid to report everything because at the end of the day, they knew, okay, let's say he gets arrested. He's going to get out. And if he gets out and he finds out I'm the one, then he's going to attack me 3 times harder. It's believed that Akku murdered 3 people and raped over 40 women and girls. And some of the girls were as young as 10. People would literally avoid him like the plague, staying indoors, avoiding any conflicts with him, even though when he and his gang would drink, they would start conflict anyway. Like, for example, when he didn't want to pay for items at the store, he would just not, or he'd pay less than was actually owed. So his gang would just like beat up people, intimidate people. They would literally rape anyone that resisted them. Now, his first murder was actually his friend. His friend's name was Tawari, which is funny because I grew up knowing somebody named Tawari. And he was from the upper caste. He killed him in broad daylight in the middle of the road for allegedly becoming friendly with this woman by the name of Asha Bhagat, who was a bar owner. According to Asha's sister, and this is from Vice News, Risha, Tawari and Yadav had a fight. Yadav returned with a knife and stabbed Tawari in front of everyone without fear of any consequences. She said, I stood there stunned. I had never witnessed a murder before, and it took me a while to register that he had just killed him. End quote. Now, Yadav looked at Asha as the competition and was not happy when Asha started giving shit for him extorting business owners. So Asha kind of was the one that stood up for a lot of the people against Akku. And so, of course, there was a beef that started between Akku and Asha. So Asha tried to kill him herself, but then she failed. So that's kind of like it's unfortunate because in this particular area, they're forced to kind of fend for themselves because they don't have the support of the police. And so a person like Akku, who is just so vengeful, hateful, and violent, he's able to run rampant like this simply because he's kind of capable of doing anything. I think that that's the thing too, is once you realize that you're dealing with a personality of a motherfucker that, one, doesn't really move about the world as if he has anything to lose. I think that's when you decide, as a person who feels like you have everything to lose, that's when you decide to submit. Right? That's when you decide, you know what? I'm not fucking with this dude. We just gonna stay in the house. I'm not gonna interrupt or disrupt or put myself in harm's way to try to be Batman. And in this particular instance, Asha did. She knew very early on that the only way to get rid of this motherfucker wasn't to actually report him to the police, but to actually kill him herself, which I wasn't mad at, because as you are watching a documentary, you like, could somebody please just kill him? It's so traumatizing to watch. It's literally like watching a bully. And the dude that they have, first of all, these fucking reenactments on this documentary though, like, come on. I think the only other documentary that I felt like on Netflix snapped with their reenactments was fucking Unsolved Mysteries, the new version. Like, the reenactments are stellar. They're fucking cinematic excellence. And, but when the guy that they have playing in this reenactment, his facial expressions and everything about him is just so menacing, that to also just kind of feel that feeling of this is actually happening to people. This guy walking around in dirty flip-flops and a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, not what as Americans we look at as like a menacing character. He was terrifying to me in this documentary. And so, of course, once Asha tried to kill him and failed, she became a target. So on June 8th, 1999, Akku killed Asha in front of her 14-year-old daughter. He then slit her throat. He cut off her ears, her fingers, and her breasts. And a few weeks later, he returned to her house. He stole everything and then turned her house into a hangout for his gang. He only got 16 fucking months in jail for this. This is the type of shit I'm talking about. So what I've learned while watching Indian Predator, because there's 3 episodes and there's 3 seasons and I've only seen 2, saw 2 of the seasons. I saw the first season and the 3rd season. What I've learned about Indian culture too, they have this weird thing, especially when there's a murderer or a serial killer on the loose, where, where they give themselves about 48 hours to actually solve a crime. And typically that's because that's more of a religious based reason, because they have to go ahead and bury the body in 48 hours. And I don't remember if that's like a Hindi thing or Hindu thing, or if that's a Muslim thing. I'm pretty sure it's a Hindu thing. And because of that, a lot of these murders, because, in America, we'll put a fucking body on ice and be like, we gotta, you know what I mean? And even if we bury them, we're gonna exhume them and all of that. That disrupts like their religious beliefs. So it's kind of like you kind of got 48 hours to handle this shit. I think that's another reason why so many murders tend to go unsolved, and why so many murders are kind of just like, in addition to just corruption and greed and just like, and no real oversight for this particular police department. I think that one of the reasons too is just the system. It's a systemic issue. It's a problem in general that I think that they would, that they have in India with regards to solving crimes. Like they don't really feel the pressure to solve crimes in the way that we do. You got this guy who is walking around terrorizing everybody and cutting off breasts and doing all this other shit in front of people, and he's being arrested and he does like very little jail time. Now that's because he was extorting the police. He was likely working directly with the police in other ways too. There are stories of him raping women with the police. So, I think we can all agree that police are people, and just like there are rapists in other industries and murderers in other industries, there will definitely be murderers and rapists in the police. So now his third victim was also named Asha, but her name was Asha Bai. She was murdered in front of her 16-year-old granddaughter. He drug her out of her own house after pretending to be her brother's friend. He cut off her ears and her fingers so he could take her earrings and her rings, which is like, this dude is a piece of dog shit. Now, his rapes were also incredibly insane. He stripped naked and raped a 7-month pregnant woman on the road. He raped a woman 10 days after giving birth. And this woman would eventually commit suicide because she couldn't bear the shame. That's another thing that's hard to deal with culturally when you're watching this documentary, because a lot of the women refuse to actually address the issue, especially the ones that were raped, because they were ostracized and they were considered trash for being raped. So this woman in particular committed suicide. She set herself on fire. To me, he killed 4 people. Like, I'm sorry, if you do something to somebody that ultimately, especially if it's something so direct and blatant, like you rape a person and she's so ashamed that she commits suicide, that's kind of murder. I'm just saying. It kind of reminds me of that situation with that girl, you know, the blonde girl with the dark eyebrows who like text her boyfriend to death, you know. Excuse me. He ended up killing himself. So eventually, the people were just so sick of this shit that they rallied together to settle this on some like straight vigilante justice. So on August 13th, 2004, they killed him. A bunch of women and a few men stormed the courthouse and they slaughtered him in the courtroom. They threw chili powder in his face. They stabbed him repeatedly and they cut off his penis, all while he was handcuffed to an inmate. Now, the throwing chili powder shit, I was like, low key with the way people are carjacking, I think that would be a great plot twist. Could you imagine like a kid coming up to your car and you got a Ziploc bag full of chili powder and you just blow that shit in his face like a fucking magic trick? And he'd be so confused. He'd be like, what the fuck did she just put in my face? And then it just gives you an opportunity to peel off. Like, you just like, you got a little Ziploc bag in your cup holder. This kid comes up to you in one of them stupid ass poo shiesty masks, but he doesn't know. He thinks you're unsuspecting. You start rolling your window down. Now, he could just shoot you for rolling your window down. I don't know. But you roll your window down. He walks up. He doesn't know your hand's in a Ziploc bag full of chili powder, and you just dust the fuck out of him. Just spicy dust. Just dust him. Which is because they mentioned throwing chili powder at a motherfucker a lot in this documentary, and I was like, huh, that's like a interesting form of macing somebody, because I'm pretty sure that's awful. But what was also so fucked up about this is, like I said, he was handcuffed to another fucking inmate, which means that other inmate was witnessing him being ripped to shreds by these people. Now, the handcuffed inmate, he is actually on the documentary giving his perspective because he's still alive. But because the people avoided him, they like, this ain't got nothing to do with you. We got a problem with him. So they fucking killed the dude that he was handcuffed to. And there's even a moment where like the dude tried to like put his arm up in defense, like self-defense, and then the inmate yanked it back down and they started fucking him up. They literally butchered him to the point where his entrails were hanging out. Now, I don't want to spoil all the meat, but you should go check this out. It is very interesting. Also hearing that it's such a misogynistic society too, because, you know, there are moments, especially as a woman, where I'm like, you telling me y'all couldn't get like 14, he had like a gang of 12 people. You couldn't get like 20 of your homeboys together and fuck these dudes up while they were drunk, raping women and shit. But I also think what kept him so powerful was the fact that he had the support of the police, and people didn't know what that would look like. But I tell you what, on August 13th, 2004, they decided to do something, and they didn't kill him in the slums. Now, mind you, there was a period before they killed him that they really were hunting him down, and he was kind of on the run. He was a pussy. He had realized, he's like, look, they gonna kill me. And he knew he was planned. There was actually this girl that She was kind of like the college educated one, but she lived in the slums and he was trying to attack her. It's a very good moment in the documentary. I'm not going to tell you, but her moment is the moment that led them to be like, you know what? We have had enough. It's almost like one of those moments like you are not going to fuck with the best of us. You see what I mean? Like you doing too much. So they just got fed up. And I never seen anything like it. In America, we don't really do shit like that. We don't even have the privilege to do shit like that. We can't take witnesses, weapons into the courtroom. But there, they stormed the courtroom and they took care of that shit. So again, this is what the fuck I just watched. So this is only going to be 30-minute segment. I don't go deeper into it. I want you to watch the documentaries that I'm telling you about. Indian Predator, Murder in a Courtroom is the 3rd season of the Indian Predator docuseries on Netflix. Go check it out. If you want to also get that like perspective of like non-American crime, you know, what does that look like? Because I also feel like to a certain extent as Americans, we do a lot of bitching and complaining, and a lot of motherfucking countries got it way worse than we do. And honestly, this is one of them. So again, check out Indian Predator. I'll be doing these. I got 3 in the chamber, you know, right now. So I'll probably do, when I do my next episode the following week, in between the next 2 episodes, I'll do bonus episodes. It's because I'm kind of just like throwing them in. They're not really like a consistent part of it. But my goal is to kind of create more content and tell you some more stories without like giving you 2-hour episodes. Cause that's also draining for me too. I'm going to be 100% honest. And, I may even start doing a segment too where I just like focus. Well, I guess my main segments I focus on books, but yeah, I'm gonna focus on documentaries. So the next one I'm gonna do Don't Pick Up the Phone. I'm gonna do Don't Pick Up the Phone. So I'm telling you in advance, I'm doing Don't Pick Up the Phone because that is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. I was actually gonna do a full segment on that and decided against it because it's hard enough to watch a documentary, let alone actually deep dive into that buffoonery. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this little bonus episode of I Swear to Drunk I'm Not God. What the fuck did I just watch? I did. And like I said, go watch it. I'm not going to be paid by Netflix. Hopefully one day they will decide to do that because this is free marketing for them. But I also just feel like, you know, if you're a true crime lover, something like that you'd really get into. All right, y'all. You take care. And I'll see you next week for my next I Swear to Drunk I'm Not God full episode. I don't know kind of what that is yet. I have a list of shit. I kind of know. I kind of don't. But you'll find out when you find out, like you always do. All right. I love y'all. And I appreciate you for those who continue to listen and continue to download. I got my little stat recap and I saw that I'm being listened to in 16 countries. I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? Like it just makes me wonder like how many of our bots, you know, I got so many bots on my fucking Swear to Drunk podcast page and I don't know, but the stats still mean something. So if I'm getting downloads in 16 countries, that's not a bad thing. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? All right. Take care. Love you. Mean it. Bye, y'all.